Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition on Dante Must Die difficulty, and this is my SSS-Rank guide and walkthrough. We're currently on mission 10 of 20. It is entitled Wrapped in Glory. So you will need, first we start out in Agnes's room over here, and those things that I just hit, you don't need to hit those, but 11,000 stylish points is what you need to obtain the stylish points rank, and then of course the clear time is very lengthy. You get 30 minutes to do something which should not take you more than 20. Usually take you somewhere between 15 and 20, I would imagine. So and as far as getting the Red Orbs, I went through this chapter twice. The first time I missed a single candelabra and I got 99% of the orbs. I was looking back at the footage and there it was, a single candelabra in the boss chamber. I missed it and it was very frustrating, but that is what I chose to do, so I'm not groaning over it. But this fight, do you see what we have here? We have two Mephistos and then a Faust. It looks like from all appearances that the Faust comes in after you kill a Mephisto. Now you can't, I don't think you can turn the camera. Yeah, there is no camera turning over here, but you can move. Can you turn the camera? I don't remember. I think maybe you can a little bit, but I remember some of these sections that you just can't turn the camera, but you can put yourself at a position where he is not on the screen. So that is what I would do, and you can save that piece of health for the as you came to that fight. You may have seen that I passed a piece of health. You can save it for after the fight. It isn't very much. There's a small scrap of devil trigger too in Agnes's room if you want it, but it isn't anything that's going to turn the tide of anything really, so I wouldn't stress over it too much. But these, I hate these. I really hate these. But just remember, we're going to be dealing with some more Fausts. They are extremely dangerous. They're a bit tanky, and they are just incredibly fast. The Mephistos are fast too, but anyway, now we're coming down into this room, which is the key chamber. Do you remember this room from the last video? We were coming through this area. We didn't have the key of Cronus, so we couldn't activate the chamber. But now that we have the key, we can use the chamber to slow down time. And if you get lucky, these guys will assemble and throw their ball at you. You can hit it back. Just remember that you have to have an alto and I think at least two Bianca Angels for them to throw the ball. So if you're wondering why it's not working out, you have to have all those factors met first of all. So this chapter is, I'm not sure how you might find this chapter as far as the difficulty of it. There's a lot of these guys on it. There's a lot of Mephistos and a couple of Fausts, and it's not that bad. Of course, Dante is the boss fight. Dante is just hard. I've always found him hard. I've never been able to beat him except on the special edition, where he, in my opinion, is a little bit easier. And what I mean by that is, well, how is he easier? Well, he has a little bit less health, and it seems like he doesn't evade your gun as much when you use charge shots. That's just from my own experience. Maybe I got a bunch of bad Dantes when I played the original version, and you never know how that could have affected anything. But I've played him quite a lot on the original edition, and I am a little embarrassed that I can't beat him on the original edition. I think if I just played him more, I could have, but I don't really like the original version too much, because in the original version you can't carry your charge shot through screens like you can on this game. You can carry the when you charge your sword, you can carry the fact that it has a certain charge, but you can't carry charge shots. So this version is, it's a little controversial, I would imagine, amongst people who are really deep into this game and have it a certain way, and they prefer a certain way of having things, and the special edition has accommodations that the other one simply doesn't have. The caliber works really well over here. If you're struggling with this game and you're wondering how you can get a little bit better, just learning how to do the caliber will help you quite a bit, because it's a good move to do on bosses. It's a good way of just getting from place to place safely and swiftly. And anyway, I remember a long time ago, I went into this area. I forgot to smash a single box, and I missed out on getting the 100%. So this room over here, I'm pretty certain, there is no camera control in this room, so you're going to have to position yourself in a place where the Faust can't get on the screen as much as possible. And oh man, these Fausts, they're bad. And you might have noticed while watching or when you play that if these guys fall out of their cloak and they go into the geometry, they go back into their cloak, and you miss out on the opportunity to grab them, which is really disappointing. I don't know if you would call it unfair, but it's definitely disappointing. Okay, here he comes. Here he comes. Right over here. So what you want to do on this guy is, of course, just the charge shot. Never use the right bumper to lock on to targets in situations like these, because what that does is it pulls out the camera and puts people on screen. Oh, here we go. Is this going to work out? Yeah, the showdown actually is quite helpful. It didn't kill him, but we were able to finish him off. That's good. Oh God, did you know what I had to do right there? I had to edit out a part of the fight where the fight was over and it had that cutscene. You might wonder, well, why in the hell are you doing that? Why are you using extreme editing? Well, first of all, let me say this. Video editing is tedious. Extreme editing, there is nothing more tedious that I've ever done than extreme editing. But I'm obliged to do it, and I like doing it because it takes little scraps out of the video that I don't like to look at. And I don't regret doing it. It's just that it is it's so tedious, but I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to do it for you guys. So in my last walkthrough, I think what you may have seen me do is once you come into this area, if you immediately leave the room, you'll unspawn these enemies. But all it is 2 sets of Bianco Angelos. So if at this point in your S-Rank run, you're fearing these guys, you might want to think about some of the harder enemies in this game versus these guys. Now, these guys, they're challenging. I'm not going to say that, but it's a pretty decently sized room, and it's just 2 of these guys at any given time. And the fact that I was unspawning them last time tells me that I was a little scared of them. And I remember sometimes coming up short on the style points for this, and it's extremely obvious why that was. Well, you didn't do these couple of fights over here, it definitely helps you. I guess the moral of the story is there are definitely harder enemies than those enemies there. Now, they could be very hard for you, but I think that even a basic assault is a little bit more harder than that enemy. Much more wily, a lot more cunning, unpredictable, and just flat out scary for somebody who's trying to do it, especially without getting damaged. Okay, now we are in one of the final rooms before the boss fight, and you will want to get to Dante with as much double trigger as you can, just because he tends to do a lot of things that you just can't get out of. So the one thing that you can do to get out of situations is just to activate the double trigger. We're in a situation here where we have a couple of basilisks, and then the rest are these the angels. So if you wanted to, you could just clear the basilisks and then wait for these guys to do the ball. But sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes they will do kamikaze charges at you exclusively. Sometimes they're not programmed to do the ball. So you have to bear that in mind if you're not getting it. And you can I think there are ways of telling too, but at this point I just wanted to get to the boss over here. And so Dante, he's weak to the combo of Y, pause, Y. You can do that, but that's knowing that and doing that is not going to save you. It's basically trying to get in. Now I don't want to say this, but I play Dante kind of cowardly. In fact, I play him cowardly. I play him like a bitch. I'm not a bitch of a player necessarily, but I do a lot of running from him. And one of the things you might notice in my fight is that I'm running a lot, not really from him. I'm just running around the room, making damn sure that everything is smashed over here, because if I missed a single candelabra, like I mentioned, then I have to do the fight over again, and there's no camera control in this room. So it's very awkward, and it's difficult to see things that you're smack up against. So you have to keep an eye. What I would recommend is come in this room, start smashing things right away, and then once you're sure everything's smashed, then just take care of him. A couple of these things too will give out a little bit of health, but I must have had a lot of bad Dantes in the past in the other game, or just I think the other game just doesn't let you hit him very much with the charge shot. He's just evasive. He's very evasive in the other game, and you can't stick him with these charged shots. And did you see what he did? I grabbed him and he countered it. So that's something that this boss is capable of, and it makes the fight even harder, because here you have a nice throw, but if you have Devil Trigger activated, that won't happen. So bear that in mind. At least there's a way of doing it so it doesn't counter. But of course you have to have and make sure you're using Devil Trigger. See, charge shot. It takes away a ton. And what you can do is activate Devil Trigger, get him off of you, and do that combo that I mentioned in the previous room. If ever he goes into Royal Guard, it's free grabs for the taking. So you'll definitely want to capitalize on those. I don't know that he went into Royal Guard in this fight, honestly, but there's that combo that I mentioned. It's very effective on him, and he's like I say, he's weak to it. Out of all other times, though, you want to be charging your gun and consistently. Oh fuck! That takes off more damage in the original version too. Consistently, build up the charge shot, release it. Build up the next one, release it. Keep doing that. Use the summon swords, use that combo, look for the Royal Guard, countered again. See, I wasn't in Devil Triggers. He's pretty clever, but that charged shot is something that he can't take much of. So that has been mission 10. Tough boss fight, very tough, and it's just something that I don't understand why it's so much more difficult in the original version, but I just know that I hate this boss fight so much, and not let alone on the previous version. My hatred has no boundaries on it. So anyway, wrapped in glory, we cleared the mission in just over 15 minutes, almost 16 minutes actually. The stylish points we needed 11,000, so we actually didn't get much more than 11,000. So I would dare say if you missed any of those fights that are optional, or any of the ones that I said you can unspawn the enemies, you're going to have a very, very tough time getting the stylish points. And don't miss a single candelabra like I did, because you won't get 100% of the orbs, but you need to anyway. All you need to remember is 95%. I will see you in the 11th mission. Please take care.